Today on Grassroots to Greatness, we're joined by Geoff Wilson, a global sports strategist whose consultancy advises FICA, UEFA, AFC, FIBA, CAF, and major organizations around the world. He's the former head of marketing and communications at Irish Football Association, chair of Sports England's Sports Council, trust company, and an EFL advisory panel member, a board member of Tourism Northern Ireland, and a leading educator with Barca Innovation Hub. One of the most sharpest minds in strategy, fan engagement, and sports development. Geoff Wilson is here. Let's get into it, Geoff. How are you doing today, Geoff?
Bruce, I'm doing really well and looking forward to getting into some interesting topics, but even more so from a grassroots person talking to someone who's involved in football in Northern Ireland, as in yourself. I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation.
Yes, our pre-talk, I was interested in what you had to say, and we're going to have to stay in touch. Uh, can you tell us about your background and how you went from head of marketing and communications at the Irish Football Association to running your own sports consultancy work with FIFA, UEFA, FFCA, and all the rest of the organizations?
Great, yeah, great place to start. So I actually started just slightly even before the IFA in the corporate world. Now that's important. That was in telecommunications for a number of years. And simply why that's important, when I got the job at the Irish Football Association as head of marketing, I was bringing in some corporate thinking into the federation landscape. And again, that allowed us to do a lot of very interesting projects at the Irish Football Association here in Belfast. After 10 years, I left, set up my own consultancy, and that really focusing on sports strategy, fan engagement, marketing communication, governance, board. So very wide areas to where I am today. Today, I've now been to 104 countries all around the world,
Oh my word.
doing sports strategy for some of the biggest sports in the world, not only in football, but outside of football. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And what you see great is not only fantastic way that sport is developed, but the impact, especially at grassroots, that sport has.
No doubt about it. And being in Belfast, we were just saying that I was up there in March visiting Carrickfergus and the Carrick Rangers. Um, so you're in that area and you enjoy that area, and you're going to Croatia pretty soon?
Yeah. So I'm actually close by the club that you're involved in. We're maybe 30, 40 minutes away. But in Northern Ireland, there's a real deep strength of grassroots. And indeed, in very many countries in Europe, there's a deep, as we would call it, the grassroots pyramid. And that's what keeps, I think, certain countries very unique. And one of them is Northern Ireland. So our pyramid is quite fat. And that means we've got lots of clubs, lots of teams, and they can feed into the much thinner elite pyramid. And this sort of double pyramid is so important. But without the grassroots, the elite pyramid would not be as strong. And yes, I'm going to Croatia this month. I've been asked to speak at a grassroots conference all around how do you develop grassroots sports, what are the key fundamentals, and then a little bit about my new book about leading grassroots sports clubs and some of the models that I have created to sustain a grassroots sports environment.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Carrickfergus and the Carrick Rangers Football Club, they're putting together an academy, and I think that's the way things are going around the world. Uh, Academies where the athlete is well-rounded and learning not just sports, but about life and being educated and all the rest of it. So your work's going to be and your outlook on stuff is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I love the idea of what Carrick are doing, having that academy and starting at those younger ages because football can bring loads of different areas. Not only can it improve your communication, can it help with mental health, but it also helps in things such as discipline, confidence, friendship, life skills, let alone the development of the technical part of your skill playing the game. And I think as well, the more that you're ingrained and you touch a club at a younger age, the more likely you will support that club. There's been a link that has been connected, and the more that the club goes out to the community and the community to the club, and this keeps continuing, the more that that club will be a success in their community and have an impact in their community.
Absolutely. And having integrity and an educational outlook is really important, I believe, because not every athlete that is at a young age, you 14 up to you 19, is going to go pro. They're not going to go pro. It's just not possible for them to go pro because of their abilities, their techniques, et cetera, and opportunity being there at the right time for them.
I totally agree, and this is why it's important to understand this for listeners to understand the grassroots pyramid. So the grassroots pyramid might start at under six, seven, eight, nine, 10, right up to senior. So you can still play in grassroots for fun right the way through until you get to adulthood and indeed veterans. It's only the best, let's say 1%, switch into the elite side, which is much thinner. But if this side here isn't nice and thick, then the people going to this side will be will not be as well and as strong. And what you find, some people go between these as they develop. So I think you're absolutely right. But what we want is we want people to stay in the game. Why? Because, yeah, first of all, they enjoy it. They've got the fitness side, you've got the health side, you've got the development side. Maybe you go from being a player to a coach or even to a volunteer or an administrator. And again, that just you get different benefits from those roles as well. So this is why it's so important. Can you imagine if you did not have this grassroots pyramid, what would that happen to our countries?
No doubt about it. As a matter of fact, I just got off the phone with Wells Thompson, and we were talking about a mutual friend of our, Patrick Phelan. They both played for MLS, and they're both still very active in the game with their children and playing the sport themselves. So it's a good discipline to develop, and there is life after soccer or
Yeah,
football, as you say.
yeah, no, you're definitely right because like my son is 14 and I'm now supporting him as he plays and I'm seeing him develop in his confidence, develop in his yes, the on-field technical ability and tactical ability, but you can see the friendships that they have. I'm not just, and I think there's one thing that needs to happen in a lot of grassroots clubs is have the right culture and be a welcoming club with really strong and really good values, a value-based organization that people can align to. That's what's really important, and that will attract people if you've got the right culture, a welcoming club with the right values. But people like myself, as now a dad, you're seeing the benefits, for my son who has played since he's six and he's now
Mhm,
14 for the same team.
mhm, mhm. Well, in your consultancy work with major sports organizations, what key qualities or capabilities do you look for when evaluating organizations or developing strategic plans?
Yeah, great question. First of all, what I actually look for sounds a little bit stupid is a driver. And when I mean a driver, I'm looking for the leader, the person that's going to say, come on, I'm going to drive this forward. And if there's no driver, if there's no leader, sometimes the plan doesn't implement as well. So that's number one. Number two is culture. And if you sort of visualize it like this, the strategy maybe is the boat. This is the boat we're building and we're going. But if the boat doesn't have the right wind, and the wind is the culture, if the boat doesn't have the right wind, the boat just goes like this. Whereas if the strategy is strong and you've got a good culture, it's like blowing wind into the sail, and that means a strategy will get implemented a lot quicker. So I look for things like a good driver. I look for things such as good culture. And if that is in place, the strategy will implement. Now, what's the process that I go through? Well, I start with research, deep deep research to many stakeholders in the organization, be that a federation or a football club. Once you've done the research, you then bring everyone together, you get your findings, and from there, then you develop your vision, your mission, your values, your goals, your objectives, your action plans, your budget, your organizational chart, your monitoring, and all of these bits pulled together. If the research is done right, then the plan will be right. But more importantly, this is where you really look at that driver in terms of implementation, because bad implementation is like the boat with no sail, just
Mhm.
doesn't go anywhere. You might have a lovely plan, but it does not go anywhere. So you need to have good implementation and good monitoring of that plan.
And that's a good lesson for parents that have their children in soccer, is to do their research before they go into an academy or a club too, right?
Yeah, you want to go like, let's say Carrick Rangers. If you're going to Carrick Rangers, I'll want to know what's the culture like, what's the values of the club like? Are they a community club? What is the coaching like? How does the coaches how are they taught? Are they taught very autocratic, or are they taught about how that they can focus and lead on the player first, and therefore it's player centric development? So all of these bits and pieces the parent will look like. Why? They want their player, their kid, to enjoy the game, that son or daughter, and to
Mhm.
enjoy it. The coach, as well as that welcoming, these elements provide a really key first impression, and then that stickability in the future. If you've got a good coach and you've got good culture and good administration in behind, people will stick with that.
No doubt about it. Well, you're involved, like myself, in education through online courses and strategic planning, in collaboration with Barca Innovation Hub. What inspired you to move into sports education through leadership, uh, alongside with your consultancy work?
Oh, great question again. Um, and I'm actually visualizing it in my head at the minute. When I did my master's in marketing, the masters came alive whenever a case study came on or came into the classroom. And that is, there is absolutely a place for the academic models. I've created a number of academic models myself on the fan's journey, fan engagement, and obviously now my new book. But people love stories
Mhm.
and really good case studies they can learn from. And I remember when I was younger, a number of people came in and told that story, and I thought, I get it. I, I get it. I can now match the academic and the practical side because I've seen this. So what I did, I started to look at lots of people, how they deliver, how they communicate, how they get learning across. And then I took my consultancy work and then I combined it with that research and started to do some lecturing for Barcelona Innovation Hub, for UCFB, for the Global Institute of Sport, for the Johan Cruyff Institute. And now what happens is I would speak maybe 1 day, 2 days, 3 days a month, or sometimes a bit less, on areas of my expertise on the consultancy. In other words, real life examples where you can say, here's how you do a strategy, here's how you do fan engagement, here's how you improve the board, here's how you improve governance, here's how you develop clubs, and it makes it come alive. And I really like to see those students really grasp it so they can take it and then they're ready to implement it when they get a job.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's the same philosophy I had when I was teaching at the University of Hartford, and my graduate students were actually from all over the world, and
Brilliant.
they loved my experience-based learning. So I think it's a great approach. Well, before we go to the last question, where can we pick up your book?
Well, it's like so my book. This is a copy of the book. You can see it. It's all about leading a grassroots sports club. So you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Waterstones. You can get it on Routledge, who's the publisher. So if you just type in "leading a grassroots sports club," then you will be able to get it. But you will be able to get it on Amazon. And the way I've tried to structure the book is to make it very much practical checklists, templates, tips, and processes to follow. And that covers a range of topics like governance, planning, club experience, coaching, female participation, protecting your club, community engagement, communication, income, and facility management. And the idea is that you can take maybe one of these chapters, go through it with your board, use the templates, create an action plan, improve it and implement, and then go on to the next one. And what I'm finding now is that many sports federations are wanting to buy the book as part of a club development program. And that's what it's there for. For me, why did I write the book? I wrote the book so I can take my knowledge and put it down and you leave a legacy. I think there's no better thing we can do than leave a legacy. And that might be in different areas of whatever that you're interested in. But if I can do that, my dad always taught me to do that, is to leave a legacy. And if you can help someone do that, then this is a short way of doing that.
Excellent. Well, that's what I plan to do with my book. And it'll be numerous volumes based on the number of people that I interview. You will be in my first volume, and we will
Love
be
it.
talking. It's transcript and worksheets and stuff like that for parents and aspiring athletes. So we'll talk about your book in the book that I'm putting out. So it'll be out by the end of June. Uh, if you were
This
going
is
to do
great.
this all over again, what would you do differently?
Great question. I think probably you can actually buy it as an ebook, but I think I would maybe put it onto some sort of a website and do them as micro education courses. So little power courses
Hmm.
where you can take the book and then you put it into your own website, and these micro courses could be developed for different people and they could take them through the journey. I definitely think that's one thing that I would seek to do. And why? Because when you get a book, it's like, okay, you start at the front, but somebody at the front might be good on governance and it might not be the further down. So, and it might be more about community engagement they want more assistance on. So I think that's one. And I think number two is letting people just know about it. It's like this podcast. More people should know about grassroots to greatness because if we do not have it, what impact, and it would be massive if we did not have grassroots. So having people, Bruce, like yourself, having this platform, that promotion to tell people about how you sustain your club, grow your club so it's around for the future, so you can create your own legacies, I think is extremely important.
Yes, absolutely. And I look forward to having you mention me and my podcast to the people you come into contact with, as well as the rest of the people that are listening. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on board today. Is there any last thoughts that you have?
No, for me, I think to have this sort of activity is great. Some people might say to me, when you're developing a grassroots sports club, what are the tips? And I would leave with three tips. Number one, get your governance right. So your legal entity, your policies, all of that to protect the club. And number two, create a plan. And that plan is, where are you now? Where are you looking to get to? The strategy we talked about. And number three, have great people. And that great people is not only the administrators, the board, the subcommittees, but also the coaches. Don't
Mhm.
just recruit anybody, have great people, and those should all be aligned to your values and your culture. And if you take those three tips, that will be a good starting point for those listening into your podcast.
Well, thank you for coming on board today. I agree with everything you've said because that's the philosophy I have. That's the reason why I got involved with Carrick Rangers Football Club in Northern Ireland. And the board up there, as well as the other investors, have the same philosophy. So I appreciate you coming on board today, and we have to stay in touch. I will be in Belfast again, and I'll have to touch base before I come.
You'll be very welcome. I will make sure to get you a good Northern Ireland fry.
Ah, there you go. If today's episode gave you a new insight into the business and development side of the sport, soccer, make sure you subscribe, share the show, and join our growing community. This is Grassroots to Greatness, where we explore journeys, ideas, and innovations that move the game forward. Thanks for listening. This is Bruce Oliver. We'll see you next time.